Team Fantasy Outlook time. Let's get it. Welcome in, everybody. Today we're going to dive into the team outlook for the San Francisco 49ers for 2022. We're going to see if Trey Lance season means that we're going to have a new, exciting offense for the 49ers this season. As we look at last year's standings, the 49ers finished 2021 as the number 3 team in their division. They finished behind the Rams and the Cardinals at 10-7-0. The 49ers hope they can become more dynamic on offense with Trey Lance and improve on their record they had last season. This year in the draft, the San Francisco 49ers took 2 players who I believe could be fantasy relevant in 2022. The first would be running back Tyrion Davis-Price. Davis-Price is a fast running back that could have opportunities arise if the stars align just right. Tyrion Davis-Price was drafted in the 3rd round and will probably be buried on the depth chart, but injuries happen early and often for this backfield. All he needs is an opportunity, and it may come in 2022. Next on this list, we need to talk about wide receiver Danny Gray. Gray is a wide receiver who has shown speed at the college level for SMU. Deebo Samuel wants out of San Francisco, and if this happens, it could open the door for the wide receiver drafted in the 3rd round. I can easily see Gray taking a larger role in this offense if Samuel and the 49ers part ways. Let's look at an overview of the fantasy targets for the Cardinals in 2022. We are going to break this down into 3 categories. The first category is studs. These are players that you can easily plug and play regardless of matchups. Studs can win you weeks even against difficult defenses. The next category is starters. These are players that you will start almost every week, except there could be a few weeks where matchups can dictate whether you start them or not. The last category we'll talk about is the flex. These are players that you can plug into your flex position and they have a chance to have a fantasy relevant game, but cannot be counted on every week due to inconsistency. In the stud category, we're going to look at tight end George Kittle and wide receiver Deebo Samuel. In the starters category, we're going to look at wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. And in the flex category, we're going to look at quarterback Trey Lance and running back Elijah Mitchell. Now let's dive into each of those targets for the 2022 season. First up, we have George Kittle. Kittle is a tricky tight end to evaluate due to an extensive injury history he's had. When Kittle is on the field, he can be dominant. The problem is whether or not he can be on the field. In 2021, Kittle finished as a tight end number 4. If healthy, you can easily plug and play Kittle and not worry about streaming tight ends, which will alleviate some headaches. Look for Kittle to go early to mid rounds of your draft. Next on the list, we have Deebo Samuel. Samuel surprisingly finished as the wide receiver number 3 last year. He was used often as a tailback, which did not sit well with Samuel. He has requested a trade from the 49ers to a team that would like to use him as a primary wide receiver. If still on the team, Samuel is an easy plug-and-play option. All signs are pointing towards him being traded, though. We will have to see what impact he will have, depending on what team he is playing for in 2022. Now let's go over to the wide receiver who finished number 35 last season in Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon was the number 1 wide receiver until Deebo Samuel took that from him, mostly due to Aiyuk being injured and not getting the play time that he wanted. Now with Deebo Samuel requesting a trade, it looks like Aiyuk could once again be the number 1 wide receiver for this team unless drafted rookie wide receiver Danny Gray emerges as the favorite. Brandon Aiyuk should put up decent numbers as a starter in 2022. Next, we are moving on to Trey Lance season. Trey Lance finished as a quarterback number 40 last season due to not playing but a handful of plays. With the team likely moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo, the reins are now given to the mobile quarterback in Trey Lance. Mobility usually leads to better fantasy production. I currently have Lance in the flex spot because I don't believe he is a top 12 quarterback just yet. I need to see the production on the field first. Lastly on the list is Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell was able to finish as the running back number 26 in an injury-riddled season. Mitchell came out of the gates hot, stealing the starting job away from who everyone thought would be the number 1 running back in San Francisco in Trey Sermon. In my opinion, Mitchell needs to focus on his health so he can stay on the field so Tyrion Davis-Price, the running back that was taken in the 3rd round of this year's draft, won't come in and swoop the starting gig away in 2022. As always, thank you for watching the video as we continue our way through the series of each team fantasy outlook so that way you could put a fantasy title onto your resume. Can't wait to see you in the next video. See you next time.